I started my career as a reporter for a newspaper in the Midwest, and one of my first assignments was to go out and see if I could ambush a city truck giving free asphalt to a private parking lot. And I came back and I said I had a list of facts, and the guy said, well, write a story about it. And I said, story? How am I going to write a story about that? It's just that the guy did this. He said, you got a story right there, just write it down. When I moved into doing commercials, clients would often tell me, we don't want stories, we just want the facts. We just want to make our product look good, enhance it, and make it look beautiful. I said, the best way to sell your product is tell a story about it. And stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They have a hero, they have a moral, they have humor or drama, but they have to have all those things to be successful. Talk about telling a story, talk about 4 elements: plot, premise, character, conflict. Plot and premise go together, character and conflict go together. How to keep those 4 balls in the air at all times is the storyteller's job. And if I used to be worried that if I dropped one of those and one of those was unsuccessful, the whole story would fall apart, which it would. But the light kind of broke through the fog when I realized that plot and character are intimately connected. Plot is nothing more than a series of incidences, a series of scrapes that you put your main character or characters in to reveal who they are. And those, it's a decision point. A plot point is a decision point. And those have to be obvious. And if they're about something critical and that we care about, it moves the story forward.
When a director gives me a script, and the first thing I do, I try to get into his mind. See, how did he write it? What was behind his mind when he wrote it? It's not just words. You have to get behind the words to his heart. And from there, you try to understand it and make it yours. Because it's in the end, what we need to do as actors is we have to absorb the script and the meaning and make it our own. And then it will be our interpretation of the writer's heart or intentions, still respecting his basic rules. It's like a compromise, and that's all life is. Life is all about, like, it's compromise, and it's trying to find the balance between what the others want you to do and what you would like to do. So I read, but before that I feel, and then I try to put them together and voice it out to what I believe is the balanced thing to do.
Writing a script is different than writing a book. In a book, you have a third-person voice, you have a narrator, you can explain things that the actors don't do or say. In a script, you can't do that. Everything that happens is either said, seen, or heard. You can't articulate it any other way. So how do we show what an actor is feeling? We have to do it by an action. Suppose we have a character who's sitting at a cafe in a big city, and the person seems to be distracted and they're looking around. We don't know what they're seeing, but they're playing with a ring on their finger. We notice that. We notice that they're doing that. Well, if the audience has been informed that that person's wife or husband has just died, then that action has meaning. That action is telling us what the actor feels.
People would think maybe historical character is more difficult because of the limitation and the restraints that you have due to the fact that the character actually lived, and the people expect already that you're telling what they already know. But in fact, it's not this. An actor needs boundaries, and if in a historical character, the boundaries are given by history itself. So you can document yourself, you can read it, you find already your fence within which you can act and create. And that makes things easier, especially if the director is collaborative, it's close to you, and he nurtures your creativity at the same time, outlining the boundaries. Fictional characters, I don't think it exists 100% fictional characters. Even if you create a character from scratch, still you have a background, and the background is yourself, you as a real person. So you have to bring your reality into the fictional character to bring it to life. Superheroes movies or Star Wars movies, science fiction movies, all of those characters have drawbacks, have benefits. They're heroes. They suffer. They feel like normal people. They're not aliens in a strict sense of term, which means that reality is what really shapes the character. If you don't bring reality even to the most fictional character, nobody will believe you. And believability in an actor is the essence of telling a story.
One of the things they pound into the head of every young scriptwriter is don't try to direct the movie in your script. In other words, don't be telling the director every other sentence where the camera should be. It breaks the flow of the story, and it's annoying, all those things. However, there are subtle ways that you can direct the camera without appearing to direct the camera. One way is simply by breaking the paragraph. Oftentimes a paragraph break indicates a shot change, or it feels like a shot change. Instead of writing POV, you can write he or she sees the bus going down the lane. You can direct the script, you can direct the camera to a certain extent, keep the flow of the story going, and make it feel like to the director, hey, it's your film.
Francisco Palou, first of all, was a real character. So we're talking about a biographical person, someone who actually lived. And beside all the research and they did prior to read the script and to understand his lifetime and everything else, what the director, Jim Kelty, told me, and it was very important to me, is that he started off by saying, you will be the shadow of your master, which was William Serra, a great character, now a saint. And at the time, he was already living as a saint. He was far above life. And my character had to live at his shadow at all time, knowing that, first of all, he was not second to him, at least in his opinion, but of course, he had that fearful respect for someone who was older and more erudite. What was Francisco Palou is life, and what was Serra was above life. So we're talking about two different levels, but what really people need is life. So Francisco Palou felt like he had more responsibility than Serra. Serra could afford to walk above the earth, right to the sky, but Francisco Palou couldn't afford it. He had to stay grounded. He had to stay with the people. He had to talk to them. And that's why when Serra died, he was the first one to tell his story, the first biographer of Serra. So my preparation was more like try to be proud of someone and treat him as a model, knowing that actually Palou himself would have been in that place. That sort of conflict and pull and push that in some instances really made me feel like in your stomach you can really feel something tightening and gnawing at you, want to eat you alive. You would like to burst out and cry and say, hey, look at me, I live, I'm here for you. Did you ever acknowledge that? But I couldn't, because of my respect and because of my humility. So I never did it, but I always had it inside. And probably Serra never understood it, probably did, but he never said it. So there was a lot of unspoken things, and that's really something that I liked for my characters. Every time I prepare for myself, I always like to say something which is not said, or do something which is not spoken.
So directing is about directing actors. Placing the camera is your secondary job because there's a DP, and you've gone over that in advance. You should know where the camera's going to be in any given setup and where it's going to go after that. Your job is to direct the actors. I try to think of my role with them is to create a kind of a bubble around them so that it insulates them from the chaos going on a film set. All the little problems from batteries not available to something breaking to somebody being late, the food not on time, all that stuff. I try to isolate them from that. Second thing, make them feel special. Supporting actors particularly, make them understand, get them to understand, and talk with them about their roles if they feel that their role is important to you. The thing you don't want to do is convey urgency or anxiety to them. Lights falling, got to get it done, hurry up, can't you remember your lines? You know, and when they're dropping a line, you get a whisperer in close and you smile and you say, here's how we'll do it. And you quickly regroup and you rehearse that scene very quickly and then you shoot it. Directors just out are going to be faced with low-budget projects, and they're going to be faced with working with untrained actors. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Untrained actors have a number of attributes that are in your favor. One of them is that they'll take suggestions. They'll allow you to direct them. they haven't learned any bad habits yet, and they're willing and they're earnest, and that comes through, especially when you understand that acting is about feeling and about projecting what you feel. So that's the untrained actor. I never shy away. I've chosen untrained actors over trained actors many, many times. A trained actor, on the other hand, has the advantage of being able to get your scene in their grasp quicker, understand what you mean, and give you several different versions of what is possible ways for them to express what they're feeling in that scene. So that's definitely a plus. And of course, there's always the big plus of a known celebrity actor bringing bankable talent to the project.
There's some actors that would like to act freely without any limitations and boundaries on set, but I think the role of a director is crucial in a relationship with the acting in general, and especially with the protagonist of any movie. The reason is that the director has the whole picture behind him. He knows exactly where all the pieces of the puzzle must be put together, and the actor sometimes is not given this luxury. He just knows his part and he has to act out of it. So we need the director, as actors, we need the director to give you the boundaries within which you can express your creativity. So still, by having the boundaries, an actor can be creative, and can explore himself and the character. However, you can bounce here and there to your limitations, and that's the crucial role of the director. The director must tell you, hey, hang on a second, you can't get past this. You have to go back, find out how, convey that feeling within that boundaries. This is extremely important for an actor because it educates him to discipline, to be honest with himself, and at the same time to be creative within boundaries. The most difficult thing in art.